Okay, so you knew it was coming. Bill C-51, Mahar Arhar, but no ex-MPs on committee's draft witness list. Retired Supreme Court Justices John Major and Louise Arbour may be asked to appear. Okay, so here, let's read this article. We're talking about this Bill C-51 they're trying to bring in. This is the terrorist legislation. And this is the legislation that's, of course, based on the false flag Ottawa shooting, which we busted quite a while ago. Free Radio Revolution, Jeff C., his YouTube channel. You can view the videos there regarding the evidence regarding the Ottawa false flag hoax. But anyways, let's go through this because I'm kind of limited for time here. So, 4 former Security Intelligence Review Committee chairs, 3 retired judges, 2 former public safety ministers, Canada's best-known torture victim, and the creator of CBC's TV's Little Mosque on the Prairie may soon get a chance to share their thoughts on the government's proposed anti-terror measures. That's great. So we're going to have a government-controlled network. The individual from that government-controlled network TV program is going to be a witness along with all the former public safety ministers. Yeah, doesn't sound frickin' slanted at all, does it, this committee? Nah. Anyways, more CBC news. Okay, they're just giving other links here. Let's go on with the article. According to a draft list, obtained by CBC News, committee staff are currently working their way through the names of as many as 70 potential witnesses who could be called to testify over the course of 8 sessions allocated to expert testimony, including retired politicians, academics, and security experts. Oh yes, the security experts, CSIS, and you name it, all the Five Eyes, I'm sure. First Nations and environmental activists and privacy advocates. Among those who may be on the final witness list, and you can bet who's going to draft the final witness list, former Security Information Review Committee chairs Ron Atke, Bob Ray, Deb Gray, and Chuck Strahl. Retired Supreme Court Justices Louise Arbour and John Major. Former Public Safety Ministers Anne McLennan and Stockwell Day. Oh, Anne McLennan. Oh, yes, you remember her. The famous Firearms Act. We're going to take your guns away, Anne McLennan. Oh, yes. She's a real Canadian favorite, all right. Anyways, let's go on. Mahar Arar, Canadian victim of torture at the hands of Syrian authorities and human rights activists. Former Associate Chief Justice of Ontario, Dennis O'Connor, who chaired the inquiry into the events that led to Mahar Arar being handed over and tortured by Syrian authorities. Well, I'm sure those two are just going to get along great on the same panel. Wonderful. Good thinking, guys. Little Mosque on the Prairie creator, Zarkan Nawaz, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, who also works with the Islamic Association of Saskatchewan. Micmac lawyer and professor Pam Palmater, and Chief Justice of Union of BC Indian Chief Stuart Phillip. Greenpeace Canada campaigner Keith Stewart. Yeah, okay. I don't exactly know what Greenpeace has to do with terrorism. Oh, I see what the connection they're trying to make, yeah. You know, Greenpeace are probably afraid that they may be labeled a terrorist organization. If this bill passes, I see the angle here. Center for Israeli and Jewish Affairs Chair David Cape. Canadian Muslim Lawyers Association Research Chair Zayad Mia. Privacy Commissioner Daniel Theron. Toronto lawyer Clayton Ruby. Ukrainian Canadian Congress Executive Director Taras Zalewski. Again, I don't know what the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Executive Directors would be doing on this panel. I can see it perhaps if there is something to do with the crisis in Ukraine incident occurring here, but whatever. Anyways, let's carry on. Western University professor Salim Mansour. The committee is also expected to extend invitations to senior representatives from Canada's Five Eyes intelligence allies. As Jeff would say, of course. Including UK Home Security Secretary Theresa May, US Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, and New Zealand Attorney General Chris Finlayson, whatever. You know who you are. Anyways, onwards. Former PMs not on the list. Initially, the Conservatives had planned to allot just 3 sessions to witness testimony, but a new Democrat-driven filibuster forced the government to expand its initial offer to a total of 9 meetings, including one that will be devoted to Justice Minister Peter MacKay. Oh, great. Yeah, we can see that coming. Public Safety Minister Stephen Blaney, and other government officials. Yeah, well, that's a meeting that, is going to go straight to pushing Bill C-51, of course. Even so, it's not known whether everyone on the long list will be invited to appear in person. Oh, I'm sure they'll try and weed the people out that just don't agree with their agenda. As even the extended sitting schedule agreed to by the government would allow a maximum of 48 slots. The New Democrats had hoped to hear from former Prime Ministers Joe Clark, John Turner, John Chrétien, and Paul Martin, signatories of an open letter calling for the bill to include greater civilian oversight. Yeah, what's up with that? Why isn't there greater civilian oversight? I don't see any civilian oversight committees being invited. Do you? No, not according to this list. So yeah, you have to question that. Why, Mr. Harper, why is there not greater civilian oversight on this committee? We have to question that, since especially it's going to affect our rights and freedoms, right? Anyways, but those names don't appear to have made the short list. Yeah, I wonder why. Which is typically compiled from lists provided by the various parties. The hearings are expected to get underway next Tuesday. Because you got to push that through right away. Get started right away, because we want to... This is going to be, I predict, very much like the 9/11 Commission, where they push things through very fast. They only wanted to hear from witnesses that agreed with their position and agreed with the official narrative. And in this case, I believe that they're only going to want to take into account and give any real credibility to the people who are on the side of the government and pushing for Bill C-51. And of course, this bill is based on the false flag Ottawa hoax and the false flag Moncton incident. But the Ottawa hoax was really busted wide open. We really proved that that was a total hoax. Everything from the fake bullet holes around the corner from Vickers' office, which turned out to be upon looking at a prior tour of Parliament that was posted online from 2013. Those bullet holes were actually some type of rivet holes that had always been there. They weren't bullet holes at all whatsoever. You also have to question, of course, in the Ottawa hoax, the 30-plus rounds that were fired down the parliamentary hallway, which, of course, turned out to be blanks. And, of course, anyone can prove that because there's no 30-plus bullet holes to be accounted for anywhere down that hallway. Okay? And of course, you know, the government, well, we don't want to even consider where the bullets went, right? Because after all, that would prove it's a hoax. That would prove that the RCMP and the police within the hallway there were actually firing blanks. And then, of course, there's the fake CPR on the Cirillo, where we had one woman blowing into his mouth and another male pumping his chest at the same time. That is not how you do CPR. That's a sure way to kill somebody if you're doing it at the same time. And of course, the person pumping on their chest wasn't even pumping their chest. They were pumping off to the right side of the body, trying to make it appear that they were pumping on their chest. And if you go to Jeff C's channel on YouTube, let me just do that for a second here. Free Radio Revolution. Free Radio Revolution. And you go to their channel and you check out their videos. You'll see a whole bunch of hoax listed, false flags, and because we cover every one of them, and we expose them for what they are, including the vaccine hoax and many others. The Boston Marathon hoax, and yes, that was a false flag. Nobody died, nobody got hurt. It was all crisis actors. The Australian, the Lent Cafe shooting, the Paris Charlie Hebdo, that was all a hoax as well. The Sydney siege, you know, like I said, at the Lent Cafe. The Sandy Hook, of course, they actually did a documentary exposing that one. Florida State University hoax. The Elliot Rodgers hoax. You wouldn't believe how many of these things the government has been staging. Okay, so here's the fake CPR. Okay, at the Ottawa attack. Okay, I'm going to skip Tim's intro here. And you can check this out on Free Radio Revolution. I don't have a lot of time to go through all this stuff, but I just wanted to make you aware that the Ottawa shooting was a complete staged false flag hoax. And the reason they staged it, of course, is to push this Bill C-51. They want to take away your freedoms, take away your rights, and bring in a U.S.-style Orwellian, Nazi-like police state to Canada. And this is how they do it, folks. They stage the events, problem, reaction, solution. It's called the Hegelian dialect. Look it up if you don't know what it means already. And you'll see why governments do this. They're doing this globally right now, all over the world, staging these false flag hoaxes to push this Orwellian, draconian police state legislation. Because they want to control you. They want to have complete surveillance over you, complete control over you. And basically they want to demonize all types of dissent against the government. And this is how they're going to do it. If you don't toe the official government narrative line, they're going to label you a domestic terrorist. And of course, the definition of terrorist and terrorism in this legislation is so frickin' vague that they can basically choose and pick anyone they want that they don't like or don't happen to agree with their narrative and label them a domestic terrorist and go scoop them up and hold them without, without any type of conference with a lawyer. And they can basically hold them for days without seeking any type of legal counsel. And of course, you know what they're going to do is, during those 5 days or whatever, they're going to try and make you confess that you're a terrorist and blah, 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 blah.